Back to developments in Syria now, which of course have regional and global consequences. With me in the studio is our military analyst, Sean Bell. And Sean, with this sort of breakthrough, if you like, for rebels against the Syrian regime, it's a reminder of Russian involvement in all of this. Why has that happened?
Yeah, good afternoon, Matt. I mean, we covered a little bit of the history before, but the main bits around the sort of military involvement is that after the 2011 sort of Syria civil war started, there were suggestions that the Assad regime might start using chemical weapons against the rebels to try. And at the time, the then US President Barack Obama turned around and said, that's a red line. If that happens, we'll intervene. Well, of course, in Ghouta in September 2013, they did use chemical weapons. And of course, everybody waited with trepidation what the US might do. And they didn't act on that. And that just demonstrated the limits of US influence in the region. Over the years as well, Russia has actually saved Assad militarily from the brink of collapse. And in return, Assad managed to offer President Putin basically unlimited access to a naval base at Tartus and the air base at Hermim. And both of those are on about a 50-year lease, allowing Russia to extend its influence across a much broader area.
Yes, talk about the impact of the Russian Air Force in Syria. We've heard in the past few moments that they have been attacking rebel positions on behalf of Bashar al-Assad.
We have, but it's interesting before the last few days, largely the Syria war was off our radars. It looked like it was actually in a frozen conflict at the time. Now, Russia used to base fighters, some fairly modern fighters, the flanker and the fullback at the military bases in Syria, but they also used to position some of their long-range bombers. The backfire here, these are nuclear-capable bombers. They had 3 of them based over there with a range of about 3,000 miles. But, of course, over the Russian focus on Ukraine, Russia's lost about 10% of its air force during that time, and therefore has deployed most of them out of the way, and therefore that's left a gap in the region, as you say, that they're now conducting joint attacks again. I think if we look at the map, though, it is interesting how all these conflicts actually start to join together, because with the Russian focus on Ukraine, that has left a gap in air cover. You'll also remember we've been covering the Israel conflict, and they've actually significantly degraded Hezbollah. Why is that important? Well, they are a pro-Assad regime rebel force as well. Turkey has got relatively good relations with Russia, but it's actually backing the rebel forces rather than the Assad forces, putting them in. And of course, we haven't even touched on Georgia here, which in the news is also kicking off at the moment. I think where this all ties together, President Zelensky, we were talking yesterday about him briefing that he might be interested, talking about negotiation. And we said, why would Putin want to negotiate? Well, actually, there's a lot of stuff kicking off at the moment. Russia is a massive country, but its economy is the size of Italy. And therefore, a full-scale war and getting involved in regions, the longer the war in Ukraine goes on, the more potentially difficult it gets for Russia. And as a result, we've just seen today as well that President Putin's increased the defence budget by another 25%, taking it almost up to a third of total Russian spending. That's just an indication of just how difficult life is for Russia at the moment.
That's a huge commitment, isn't it? Thank you very much indeed, Sean.